My biggest struggle in retirement is really finding balance in life. I've worked hard at this. I keep working hard at it, but I keep coming up a little bit empty.
That's a pretty interesting and broad struggle.
I'll get deeper
You're
into
going to go
it.
deeper?
I'm going to go deeper. What's your biggest struggle in retirement?
I'm confused.
Okay, well, we'll find out.
I think my struggles in retirement, because I've had quite a few. I think they've changed over the years that we've been retired. We've been retired 6 years. I think they started out as one thing, they morphed to the next. And as I powered through them, I have something new that I'm struggling with.
Speaking of something new, this is a new format today. We can call this Jody and Mark Unplugged or something, but we've decided to try a few videos with no scripts, no outline, no nothing, come up with a topic and just see what happens.
And surprise each other, which I'm surprised about your balance comment.
Well, if you think about balance in life, and we do talk about this a lot on videos and just having morning coffee, which is kind of what we're trying to do here is, we have this business, okay, which is, 15, 20 hours a week. Recently wrote my book. We have 6 children. We have golf. We have pickleball. We have a home in Florida for the winter. We have this home up here. We have our friends. We have meals with friends. I have my own friends. I have my men's discussion group.
So summary, all of that feels like it's a time balance issue. Is it time?
I don't know the answer.
I
think we're I don't want to answer all these questions so fast because I want everyone
I'm interested.
Okay. Am I too busy?
All
right. So we'll stay with me.
Because here's what happens during your career, like busy sometimes equals important. In retirement, I think you have to lose that. Like busy doesn't equal important.
You're going with the whole coffee thing.
I'm just going to have a sip of
Can I have a sip too?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, and by the way, if you're new here and wondering who these two people are, I'm Mark and this is Jody. My wife, Jody.
And we don't focus on the financial aspects of retirement, but rather your life, your health style, your relationships, and more.
So I gave you context on what I'm struggling with as far as balance in life. Okay. Give us a little context on what yours was, because I forgot it already. Because we didn't prep for this.
So when I first retired at the end of 2018, I really envisioned my retirement. Before that, as I was leading up to that, I envisioned it with my mom. Right. I just always thought we would have like lots of time together, and I lost her, unfortunately, to pancreatic cancer. So my first year, I kind of struggled to figure out like, where's my people, besides you and the kids, but where are my people? And then at that same time, I was also struggling with health and wellness because I wanted to really get together with self-care, health and wellness. So I figured the first 3 years I worked on that struggle solely and tried to really get kind of under the covers of who I was and who are my people and how do I stay on a health and wellness path. And then I morphed into kind of what I think a lot of you struggle with, which is purpose. Like, what is my purpose? What am I going to do? What do I still get jazzed about? It's no longer an insurance deal or a brokerage arrangement or any of those type of things. So what is it? And then as I morphed and found that, now I struggle, I think, most with, it's not necessarily balance for me, but it is time management. This business and serving this community, our 6 kids and serving our 6 kids, the joy that we have doing fun things together, whether it's golf or pickleball or, trips and travel and all of that. Because now that the calendar is my own and nobody's scheduling things on it, I haven't been as good at boundaries, I guess. Boundaries equaling balance. That's where I am now with my struggle.
So it's pretty close to mine.
Now it is.
Now
for
it
sure.
is. So maybe we just spend the rest of the time on the video talking about boundaries and time management.
And time management / balance?
I don't like the time management.
Yeah, I don't either.
Listen, we have
too corporate.
Yeah. So, we have a very good routine in the morning. We talked about that. And we start our day very disciplined, and when we follow our path every morning, our day is great.
Right.
Get up and do the gym, have our coffee, journal, meditate, exercise. All of that really sets us up for the day. And we always have a better day when we do that.
Right.
But all of these components that we just talked about, trying to figure out, are we really, let's put ourselves first. Are we doing for each other what we really need to do to make sure our relationship not only survives, but grows. And this morning was a good example of we screwed it up. We didn't really have a good coffee time together. It was more like a coffee meltdown. And it was just because we have
it happens.
We have a lot going on.
Yeah.
And I wonder if this video idea, I thought of this idea this morning when I was at the gym thinking, what are we going to film? We want to try this new experiment. We want to try to do something really unplugged and talk about a topic. And I think at the end of the day, you and I are both struggling with this overriding feeling of boundaries and balance. So maybe we can talk a little bit about, in the beginning of this year, I wish I had my book, we came up with our 5 priorities.
Right.
So what are the 5? Why don't we just right now go through that and recheck with each other and share with them what our 5 things were. And maybe we can figure this out together.
I think that is important. And we did do that in the beginning of the year, and we have done check-ins on the priorities. But it is also important to note our priorities aren't always the exact same. Mm-hmm. They are typically in alignment, but maybe different. So, health and wellness, I think we both had as number 1.
And I think we both do that really well, and we do it together and we do it apart.
Right.
We go to the same gym, different classes. We have group classes. We have one-on-one training. We do golf together and separate, pickleball, walking. So yeah, I think if we were to give ourselves a score,
yoga, you never come to yoga.
I don't ever do yoga, but I think that if we were to give ourselves a score on balance and boundaries in the physical wellness component, 9 out of 10?
I would think
8 out of 10?
Yeah.
I mean, there's always room for improvement.
There's always room for improvement.
Let's say 8 out of 10.
And probably the boundary side of that for me, and maybe for a lot of you viewers, is when we have guests or kids come and stay with us, or we're traveling, I've got to get better at walling off that morning. And I've done better, but I'm not 100% to make sure that I'm continuing with my routine.
Well, that's where boundaries
right.
come into play with our physical wellness program. As you said, when we have guests come or
right.
our kids come, or guests, children, we kind of give everything up for them.
Right.
And we have to get better at saying, we'll be back at 7.
Yeah.
If you get up before that,
make yourself a cup of coffee.
Yeah. And we don't do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's, is that do you think that's selfish? Leave a comment below. I don't know. I mean, when our kids are here, it's kind of like we just go into parenting mode.
Yeah.
Even though they're 40 years old. But is that, I don't know. I'd love to hear what you all think about that. What do you do when your kids show up? Do you drop everything and you just make them the priority and cook their favorite meals and just be always on the ready? Our kids work remotely, so they're working during the day, and we're trying to find when they're on a break. What's your schedule? When do you have calls? We have to stay away. What about lunch? And it's always like, I can't tell you about lunch because I got calls all day. So we're kind of walking on eggshells a little bit too, which isn't fair to us. We're like kind of hurting ourselves a little bit.
Well, staying with the physical wellness piece of it, I think it's just, for me, it would be being more mindful when we have visitors to wall off that time and create better boundaries. Boundaries have never been something that was super easy for me.
Right.
So I'm very aware of where I need to step in and do better or be a little more flexible.
Okay. So that was
one of our main priorities.
Right.
Health and wellness.
What's the next one?
For me, the second one on our list was making sure that I'm connecting with, staying connected to, and continuing to grow my relationships with current, obviously our kids and, family, but then also with new friends, new circles of friends, new places to put myself to meet people. So relationships was a big category for me. And I don't think I have any boundary issues there.
So let me ask a question, because the title of this video is our struggles in retirement. So where are you struggling with your relationships? Are you?
For me, it's just more time. Again, it goes back to that, and I don't want to say time management because that sounds corporate, but it's more of, how much more could I see the kids or friends or carve out dinners, being mindful of the YouTube channel, the filming videos, the, doing all the other things that we have to do, moving to Florida. I mean, our trek to Florida takes up a whole week.
Right.
and then the adjustment time. And so that doesn't really leave room for, relationships, reconnecting, connecting, putting yourself in social circles. So I just have to be more mindful of it on the daily.
So what I'm hearing and thinking is that we do a pretty good job of carving out time for our physical wellness. It's on the calendar. We schedule it. We sign up for classes so we know when they are. Same thing with doing YouTube video. What is today? Tuesday. And we work, Tuesdays is filming day. Right. So we film every Tuesday, anywhere from 1 to 8 videos, depending upon what we need to do. So that's on the calendar. We don't put on the calendar and again, it doesn't have to be on the calendar, but really carving out the time for friends.
Right.
Which could include dinner twice a week or once a week.
Right.
We probably could do better.
We could probably do better at that.
Yeah, I mean,
for sure.
The kids come at us. You talk to all 3 daughters every day. Some of them twice a day.
Right.
I don't do the best job with my kids. And then you start taking the family circle out. We could do better.
Yeah, definitely. Right? Could do better on that for
okay.
sure. And even reaching out to like Pop or, your sister or, Aunt Jeannie there's people that are family members of ours that, we could also do a little bit better, I think.
Yeah.
For sure.
What's one of the other categories that we had? We had, the business.
Well, we had the business for sure. It was a big category for both of us.
And we don't look at the business the same way. I get a tremendous amount of energy around building things. So building this business, building my book, monitoring YouTube and looking at the comments and looking at the algorithms and looking at, all of the technical stuff behind it. I love that. I like to tinker. You show up, leave a comment below. Who's better on video, Jody or me? Because I'm not as good as Jody. Jody's great. I mean, you look better, you sound better, you're more engaging. I'm trying to be like you right now because this is how you are. You're really good. And I'm not. I'm like stuck in this box. But for the business for me, I love it. I love building it. We're up to almost 60,000 subscribers. We'd love to get to 1 million. That's not going to happen just on its own. You need to tinker. I like to tinker with the business.
Yeah. I think what challenges me with this business, and it's again, it kind of morphs in with a continuous learning, which was also one of our big priorities. I was in a corporate job, corporate America, structure, accountability, frameworks. And, this business in the YouTube land, there, it's a little bit of a mystery. It's trial and error and error and error, and then trial again and then win or not, and to me, with no direct line of action equals consequence, it's always been hard for me to get my head around what is actually a win.
Well, that's a good point.
Because we don't sit here and sell 1 million things. It's not like I can take a sales number or, so subscribers, we love the subscribers. We love to grow the subscribers. I get that because that's a number. It's a metric.
Yeah. And we haven't, listen, we do make some money on this channel. YouTube pays a very small percentage for every ad that they run. We don't run ads. Right. We don't have branding deals. We don't sell shirts or clothes or products or anything, which a lot of YouTubers do, and they make a lot of money.
Right.
We're making content. We want to help you, which actually helps us. Like even this conversation today is helping us with our relationship, right? Don't we feel better now than we did when we were having coffee this morning? And
why are you punching me?
And you had a meltdown, or was it me?
Yeah.
We had a meltdown. So but there's what was I trying to say about the whole tools and the algorithms? Like you said,
it's just hard to measure.
Yeah. When I was running my insurance agency, every new client that came in was more revenue. You could grow the business. You could hire more people. It's you and me. Yeah. And the rest of our team that are independent contractors. But
yeah, so we had, our priorities, health and wellness, and what we struggle with in the boundaries, relationships, what we struggle with in boundaries, the YouTube channel, Mark would really be boundaryless and work 40 hours a week. I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm not. I worked for 35 years, 60 hours a week, and I'm just not that interested in doing that much anymore. Because I also want to balance, and back to your word, balance, I also want to balance this idea of being retired and starting a business. But for the most part, I want to lead with being retired.
Well,
that's me.
And I get that. And for me, as I've said to you a number of times, if we didn't have this retirement transform business, and my book to work on, to tinker, I don't know what I would do all
Right.
day long. First of all, we love changing people's lives. We love inspiring people to live a better life. Jody coaches a lot of people for free one-on-one. I do the same thing. We both mentor a lot of people for free. And the free part isn't just like, oh, we do it for free. These are people that come to us and say, hey, you know, I heard about you and I really could use some help. I mean, we have people we mentor in Africa that we met on our safari that we stay in touch with. We love that. We love changing the world, leaving the world a better place than when we got here.
Right.
At the same time, we don't want to do that 18 hours a day.
Well, I don't.
Well, I don't either.
Okay.
So my struggle with this is dialing down the amount of time I put into this part. Because, listen, 15 hours a week for me, plenty. I love that. I could do 15 hours a week of this stuff
All the time.
all the time.
Yeah. Yep.
So
I would say the next one that we had on our priority list, which kind of ties into the YouTube channel, was both of our desire to grow and continuously learn. You know, always, searching for new books, doing more research for the channel, trying to provide content that's not only, good content, but timely and up to date, and staying ahead of trends and finding new sources, that we can quote, that we can get involved in, or new learning that we're going to embark upon, like we're, going to do with Modern Elder Academy.
Right.
So I think that, it was a struggle for me when I was in that where's my purpose phase. And I realized I could group a lot of what I was missing under this idea of always be learning.
Right.
And I think that that we do a pretty good job in that. But again, I also like to balance that with, I love a good novel. I love a good book club. I love a good frivolous reading, not learning, not self-help. So I try to balance. Honestly, I feel like I'm a little more balanced in that area than you.
You are. I struggle. I struggle with downtime.
Yes.
And to quiet my brain and all of that. So I meditate a lot. I journal a lot. That's how I get quiet. You get quiet. Every night when we get into bed, I go to sleep and you read for about an hour. And that's your little bucket of time that you treasure, which is great. Now, I can read a novel. I can read, it's got to be historic a little bit. What's so funny?
Well, you can.
I can.
You don't love
I
it.
Can. I love a good
You bark
self-help.
through it a little bit. You bark.
Yeah.
You bark a little bit. This is ridiculous. This character, blah, blah, blah. And me, I'm just in for the journey and the fantasy and the, the good writing and the storytelling.
But from a learning point of view, I kind of do that on steroids. And that I struggle with that. I struggle with it because I love it. But then my brain is ready to explode.
Right.
We've been fooling around with ChatGPT. You've all heard of AI, and it's everywhere now. And everything we do, all of our content, is created by Jody and I.
Right.
But I found a way to use ChatGPT to take the scripts from each of our videos and give it some parameters, and it's now helping us put together written posts for LinkedIn. So that's like a new little tinkering thing I have. And it's our words. I mean, it's so cool because some people don't want to watch a video. Some people want to read about it. And we've been talking about this for years.
Well, we had a blog for the first 3 years of the channel.
But we would write that.
But we weren't getting a lot of, and then we had the podcast. So we have been tinkering.
So I love to stay up with technology. I love to tinker with technology. I love to read the latest books. I'm just trying all the health and wellness books. Peter Attia.
Lifespan.
Gosh, it's just such wonderful learning out there that, my grandfather, I remember he did the New York Times crossword puzzle every day with a pen. Now, I'm not a good word person, so I couldn't even do it with pencil and an eraser. But he was always learning new words.
Right.
I think we all can do a great job of learning new words. We don't learn by watching the news. We watch very little news. We learn by reading the latest books and podcasts and documentaries. Gosh, we learned so much about Africa when we went over. We went to see the gorillas. You've heard me say this if you follow us on social media. We went to see the gorillas, but we fell in love with the people. I'm now reading 3 different books at the same time on Rwanda, mostly focused on the genocide that I didn't know much about, guilty me when I was a younger man. But it's just amazing to have friends now in Rwanda and learn about their history and be able to talk to them about it.
Well, I also think for our viewers, if you're struggling in that purpose stage of retirement, bucket up a whole bunch of things under continuous learning, growth, and development, and see if that then helps you find your purpose. Because that was helpful to me a couple of years ago when that's what I struggled with.
In March of 21, during COVID, Jody and I were supposed to go to
March
Mexico.
Of 20, I think.
20?
Yeah.
Modern Elder Academy?
I think so.
We were supposed to go in November of 20, and they closed it because of COVID. So we did an online course in March of 21 on this whole transition in life. And Chip Conley runs this organization. We'll leave in the footnotes below. It's a week-long immersion in 2 spots now, one in Baja and one in
Santa Fe.
And it's a campus. You spend there overnight, and you go through a week-long transition. And we actually just signed up for a course of theirs.
On transitions,
because this whole retirement thing, the struggle that we're having, the boundaries, time management, figuring out our pillars, it's all a transition. And if you don't figure out how to transition from your career or what your life was like before, you're going to struggle in this phase of life. We're like transition overload. So we've done a really good job of that. But now we're kind of like, we got to, constantly evolve what is most important to us.
And I think the 5th item that we had on our kind of shared list of priorities was our spirituality. Mm-hmm. And, whatever your spirituality is, whatever you believe in, whatever you don't believe in, it's very personal, and we both certainly understand that. We found that we were lacking a little with knowledge, direction, history, conviction, all of those things. So the past, I would say 12 months, 12 months, we have both dug in really deeply to try to individualize, and then certainly as a couple, talk a little bit more about our spirituality. And that's been, I think, really transformational for both of us.
Yeah, I believe that this spiritual journey that I would say I had on hold for 30 years. I mean, we checked the boxes. We went to church. My kids went to Sunday school and all of that. I was more active years ago in it, but just kind of said, I think our spiritual journey probably kickstarted, it must be 20 years ago when we started going to third world countries to build homes. That was really an eye-opener, like, what are these people were so religious and so spiritual and so grateful for what we brought to them when we would build homes in remote parts of Nicaragua and the DR. But now, like you said, in the last year, we've actually opened the Bible and we're starting to read it. We read this great book called The Story. That's the Bible from beginning to end in chronological order. And for me, it opened my eyes up to the Old Testament, the plight of the Jews, the New Testament, where Jesus fits into my life or not, and where God fits into my life or not. And it's just interesting to start spending time trying to understand that.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I'm never going to get it figured out, but I'm going to keep growing. And we're it's not that we're aligned on this. You have a path you're on, I have a path I'm on.
Right.
And we encourage each other.
Because I'll go back to where we started this piece of it. I believe it to be very individual. Mm-hmm. I think your spiritual journey is a very individual process. And if you focus on it and you digest it yourself the way you can, at the time in your life that you can, it is your own. And I firmly believe that to be the case.
Yeah. So why don't we wrap this up? I hope you guys like this format. If you did, leave a comment below because we'll do more of it. It's honestly a little bit easier for us. It's kind of fun, and there's a lot of different topics that we talk about in the morning when we're having our coffee, and we're kind of bringing that to you. So, what are the 4 things that we should do to help each other or work on ourselves to to get out of this struggle or these, what is the word you said in the beginning? It's not a struggle, it's something, obstacles. We have obstacles in the way. So
I don't know if there's 4 things that we need to do, but
it's one.
But I know the one thing that I would say helps in every situation is, listening as an active listener, taking a pause in a conversation. I can't have this conversation right now. I need to take a pause and think about it. And always being kind with our intentions in a conversation as we respond versus react. So it's all, for me, wrapped up around communication.
And it sounds like that really is wrapped around us.
Yes.
What? So I guess our biggest retirement struggle is living with each other.
No.
And because we don't have boundaries and we aren't kind and we don't listen.
I did not say that.
It sounds like she said that.
I
Leave
did
it in
not
the
say
comment below what you heard. I think that's great. I think that the fact that Jody and I spend, not all the time and not most of the time, but we spend enough time talking to each other, with each other, to other people, about things we're struggling with. I mean, there's nothing that we can't talk about. And in order to do that in a healthy way, so that these obstacles become opportunities, is again, good listener, compassionate, kind, don't judge, don't react. It's better to respond. React, oh, I guess I should just shut up now because you don't like what I said.
That's what I said this morning.
Yep. So anyway, yeah, this was good.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. If you like this video, this next one, what is the name of this next one? Oh, why do people struggle in the first year of their retirement? I think the answer is going to surprise you. So watch this video next.